Hi Nikhil, good afternoon.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon.
Hi Nikhil, good afternoon. We are just waiting for everyone to join in.
Hello. Rahul, am I audible?
Yes, Khalil, you are audible loud and clear.
Okay. Good afternoon to all present. আজকে আসলে আমাদের একটু আমাদের টাইম দেওয়া ছিল 2:30 থেকে। তো সবাই এখনো আসলে জয়েন করছেন আমাদের সেশনটাতে। তো সবাইকে একটু রিকোয়েস্ট
ফারুক ভাই
করবো।
কেমন আছেন?
তো আমরা
আছি ভালো আছি ভালো আছি
Thank you all for joining us today. We will be starting the session in around 10 minutes time as we have a lot of more participants coming in. So we shall be starting the session in 10 minutes. We will be waiting for more participants who are actually trying to log in right now. So kindly give us 10 minutes for us to start.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম মুশফিক ভাই
সব সকল পার্টিসিপেন্টের কাছে একটা ছোট একটা রিকোয়েস্ট আছে, আপনারা প্লিজ একটু আপনাদের মাইক্রোফোনটা একটু মিউটে রাখবেন। সেশন চলাকালীন সময় একটু মিউটে রাখবেন। কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন্স থাকলে আমরা ওইভাবে অ্যাটেন্ড করব সবাইকে। একটু রিকোয়েস্ট করবো একটু মাইক্রোফোনটা মিউটে রাখার জন্য। Good afternoon to all. Thank you for attending. Thank you for attending today's session. A big thank you from our Dhaka distribution team and the Network Intelligence Alliance team as well for presenting and being with us today. I hope all of you are safe and secured at your own location and at home. So before we start the session, Rahul has sent out a link to everyone which needs to be filled up. আমি সকলকে রিকোয়েস্ট করব একটু লিংকটাতে একটা ফর্ম আছে, সেই ফর্মটা ফিল আপ করার জন্য। সেশনের শেষের দিকে আমরা একটা ছোট একটা প্রেজেন্টেশন যেগুলো আছে কন্টেন্টগুলো আমরা কিছু শেয়ার করব আপনাদের সাথে। সো কন্টেন্টগুলো শেয়ার করার জন্য আপনাদের একটা ফর্মে ফিল আপ করে দিতে হবে। So Rahul has already shared the link. So I would request all of you to fill up the link form and content so that we can share the meeting conversations with you at the end of it. So without further ado, I will request Nikhil to start his presentation. Nikhil is a practice lead and a PCI QSA representing Network Intelligence. So I would request Nikhil to start today's presentation for all. Nikhil.
Thank you, Khalil bhai. Hello everyone. Good afternoon. I hope everyone is safe and healthy during this COVID-19 pandemic. The life has kind of changed overnight. So I hope everyone is safe, healthy, fighting the pandemic with all the might and obviously with the power of the Almighty. I'm Nikhil Rathsingh. I lead the payment security practice here at Network Intelligence. I'm a practicing PCI QSA, PA QSA, and I'm leading the engagements which are related to PCI DSS compliance or PADSS compliance for various industry verticals. I've been to Dhaka before as well. I've spoken in a training for PCI DSS implementation initially, where I met a lot of security professionals and IT professionals from Dhaka. And today again, I'm fortunate enough that Dhaka Distribution, our partner, has given me this opportunity to lead this webinar. So without wasting any time, I'll just quickly share the presentation, and please let me know if you can see my screen. Rahul, can you please confirm if you can see my screen? Rahul, Sam, Khalil bhai, anyone?
Yes, sir, we can.
Thank you. So the topic for today's webinar is PCI DSS compliance and how it is being affected by COVID-19 and what is the way forward to stay in compliance and achieve maintain PCI DSS certification. So I'm assuming many of the organizations are from financial sectors or payment ecospace, and I expect that people kind of are aware of the fact that what is PCI DSS is and what kind of a certification it is, and there will be many organizations who I think are already compliant to PCI DSS standard. So I'll quickly give you a brief. PCI DSS is payment card industry data security standard. Apparently it's being drafted by PCI Council, managed by PCI Council to ensure that the card data, credit or debit card data during the payment or transaction processing or in the entire payment ecosystem is handled securely and in an efficient manner. So for that, there are guidelines which are given in the PCI DSS standard. Now, the agenda for today's discussion would be primarily on these 6 points. So we'll try and cover and see the points which are related to COVID-19 directly impacting your existing PCI DSS compliance. So for the organizations which are already PCI DSS certified or which are already PCI DSS compliant, how is COVID-19 may impact their already assessed infrastructure. And then we'll go ahead and discuss how is COVID-19 affecting the PCI DSS on-site QSA assessment, because obviously people cannot travel these days because of the lockdown. So how is that impacting the certification or the compliance validation, and what are our way forward? How do we do the PCI QSA audit? Because obviously we cannot skip the certification. We'll have to meet the deadline if there is any. And so what is the way to achieve that? And then I'll quickly give you a brief of how PCI QSA Network Intelligence as a company, what is our methodology? So how are we doing remote assessment for our customers? We have taken quite a lot of engagements starting from January to April 2020. We have taken close to 15 to 20 PCI QSA engagements over remote methodology. So I'll give you a quick brief of how we do remote PCI DSS QSA audit right now. Then there'll be a quick slide where I have outlined, I think, 12 or 13 controls which you should be considering these days, since majority of the infrastructure of the organization and majority of the processes of the organization have moved to remote instead of being the on-site infrastructure. And then we'll take up questions from all of you. So while I was working on this presentation, the first thing I wanted to identify was whether there is any impact on cyber attacks. If there has been any impact on the cyber attacks during this period where the COVID-19 pandemic has been. So I just wanted to understand if the cyber attacks have gone down or if they are increasing. What is the actual status on how the attackers or cyber criminals are taking advantage of these situations? So I was doing my own research. I identified that Checkpoint has already done quite a good research on whose mic is this? Can you please mute? Thank you. So I was doing my research, then I have identified that Checkpoint has already done a great research on how the cyber attacks have been panned out during this entire COVID-19 period. So from December 2019 to say March 2020, if you see the graphs on the screen, you will see that the cyber attacks have grown exponentially. So from December, when the numbers were kind of between 200, 300, they have suddenly gone up to 5,500 per month or per day. So that's a kind of growth, or that's the kind of attacks which have been started during the COVID-19 period. Now, the second graph on the right side of the slide is talking about the domains, the website domains which have been registered using coronavirus or COVID-19 as a keyword. And if you see that the weekly registration of these domains also have gone quite up. So there are kind of 15,000 or close to 16,000 domains have been registered in a week which are obviously to make website which resemble to coronavirus, say vaccine, or to say coronavirus treatment, etc., so that the people might use those to get tricked, and then later on those websites will also be used to say do a phishing attack. So that's the kind of approach cyber criminals or attackers have taken these days. So similarly, if we see phishing has been a major change. So the attack scenario right now from the criminals, from the attackers, have changed from attacking the infrastructure to attacking the people. Because right now, majority of the employees have moved, or in fact 100% of the employees have kind of moved to remote work. And for them, it's new infrastructure, new process which has been in place, and majority of them are not aware of how to secure that remote working. And therefore, it's easier for the attackers to target employees instead of targeting an infrastructure. And that's where, if you see the graphs on the slide, you will understand that the phishing related attacks have grown exponentially. So say in January, the attacks were 200, and then Feb it was close to 1,000. And suddenly, if you see in March, it's over 9,000. So 9,000 phishing attempts in a month is what is being practiced by the cyber attackers. Now the thing is, if these are so many attacks which are going on every day, every week, or every month, what industry sectors are actually being targeted? So if you think from the attacker's perspective, if let's say assume I want to attack some sort of an organization, my only ROI is if I can use that attack to get some sort of a financial gain. If I can probably do a bogus payment, or if I can get the details of say account or card data, etc., which then results into a financial benefit for me, I'll go and target those sectors, obviously. Therefore, if you see majority of the sectors, say 19% of the financial institutions, then 19% related to payments, and there are 5% related to e-commerce and retail. This kind of totals up to 45% of the entire phishing attacks which have been executed. So you know, or by looking at the slide, you get an idea that which are the sectors which are actually facing these attacks more compared to other sectors. So 45% of the financial institutions or payment related sectors have been under the pump during these phishing related cyber attacks. Now, Bitdefender has done a research to identify if the attacks are only focused on, say, a bigger financial institution, or they are also trying to, say, attack a smaller merchant. So there was a research conducted on both sort of businesses, which included the bigger financial institutions and also the smaller merchants. And in the research, it was found out that there have been close to 500% of increase in the malicious reports for the March 2020. And out of those 500% attack, 41% attacks were also related to small businesses. And these small businesses, because of the attack, got breached, and that breach had costed them close to $50,000 US for them to recover. And there were loss in the consumers also, because when a company gets attacked, when a company is breached, or when a cyber attack is focused specifically on a financial institution, there is a direct impact on the consumers as well, wherein the consumer starts to drop from that particular business and move to some other organization, or move to some other merchant, or move to some other financial institution for that matter. In that survey, it was identified that close to 29 or 30% of the consumers said that they'll not go back to that same small merchant or same business which they were earlier going for, and they'll probably move to a new merchant. So if these 3-4 slides give you an idea that the attacks are growing exponentially, and the attacks are growing exponentially to target any sort of sector, be it a small merchant, a bigger financial institution, nobody is being left out. And majority of these attacks are then targeted to financial institutions or payment related ecosystem. And this is then leading to losses related to financial losses, obviously. Then there is a loss related to reputation, and obviously there are consumers who are going out of your business and they are opting for a new company to do their normal payment transaction. So to address all of this, there is only one solution, that you cannot stop your information security program. I would not say PCI DSS right now, because of course PCI DSS is a part of the information security program of the organization. So for you to only address this right now is to diligently follow your PCI DSS compliance or your information security program. Now, since we have already spoken that the majority of attacks are related to financial institutions and payment ecosystem, which apparently means that for them to counter all these attacks, there is only one guideline that is available, which is PCI DSS. But the moment COVID-19 thing has came into scene, majority of the financial institutions have moved from on-site infrastructure or on-site processing to remote processing. People have moved to remote locations. They have moved to work from home scenario, and this has all resulted in their existing PCI compliance being affected. So how is that affecting your PCI compliances? Because of course the scope of your information security controls around PCI DSS have suddenly changed, because earlier it was only limited to your office, your data center related infrastructure, but now since people have gone to multiple locations and they have started working remotely from home, your scope, which was assessed initially, has suddenly changed. Now, for you to facilitate remote access, there must have been tweaks in the configuration, and these tweaks would range from making changes in the firewall to making changes in the servers to making changes into how the data is being processed and shown on the screens. So this may have resulted in exposure of unnecessary cardholder data, which may not have been ideally required if the situation was normal. Then there were already implemented security controls. For example, firewall is a security control which was already implemented initially, working fine, but then suddenly you have to move all of your infrastructure to remote. Now you have to suddenly make changes in the configuration. You have to create new access control list. You have to allow access to some n number of IPs, which apparently you don't know whether those IPs belong to a genuine employee's home network or if these IPs belong to someone else. So there have been a lot of configuration related changes which you had to do to ensure that people can start working remotely. And this has obviously resulted in impacting your already implemented security controls, which are pretty much working fine before that. Then the moment employees have moved to work from home, there was questions on what sort of controls can be implemented, because people are now working from home. So there must have been new controls which have been enforced on employees. So let's say people must have been asked to connect using a VPN. Now, majority of the employees had never used VPN as a service to connect to their own organization's infrastructure. So for them, it's new. Similarly, you must have probably introduced DLP on the systems. You must have probably introduced multi-factor authentication for the employees. Now, all of these controls are new, which were never in the practice. And for organization employees to understand these controls and the risks related to these controls is something which the organization needs to take an initiative and make your employees understand that how they are supposed to handle VPN, how are they supposed to handle multi-factor authentication, how are they supposed to handle DLP, how are they supposed to handle the workstation which they are using to connect to your data center infrastructure. So there are new controls which have been introduced and which apparently instead of helping the information security controls, kind of creating problems, because people are not aware of the fact that how we can effectively manage these security controls or use these security controls. PCI compliance then requires you to have periodic maintenance activities. The certificate lasts for a year, and in a year there are activities which are to be done, say, quarterly. There are activities which are to be done half yearly. There are activities which are to be done annually, or there are activities which are to be done monthly. Now, earlier approach was that organizations used to call their vendors on site and perform these activities, say, every quarter. Now suddenly, because of the travel restrictions, people cannot travel. Now this obviously is now affecting the periodic maintenance activities of an organization. So if their activities was of, say, a quarter were due in, say, April 2020, Now they cannot travel, so they'll have to probably wait for 1 or 2 months the situation to get normal, and only then they can probably call somebody on site. But if you wait for 1 or 2 months for situation to get normal, then you ideally are missing a quarter, and which apparently means that you are not in a position to maintain your PCI DSS compliance. And that's the reason it's easier now for the organizations to move from that on-site model to a remote model and make sure that they facilitate their vendors or their service providers or their security partners to perform these periodic maintenance activities remotely. Now, COVID-19 or Corona has affected the on-site PCI QSA assessment severely. I have been into a lot of travels before this COVID-19 thing has become a massive pandemic. I used to travel for these on-site PCI QSA assessments. But now, because of these two major reasons, the on-site PCI QSA assessments are not possible. A, of course, the travel restrictions. B, majority of the countries have enforced that there should not be any large gatherings of people for conferences or for meetings for other reasons. Now, because of these two reasons, even if a QSA wants to come on site, they would not be able to do it. But that does not mean that you do not complete your on-site PCI QSA assessment, or I should say that does not mean that you should not complete your PCI QSA assessment. You still have to do your PCI QSA assessment if you still want to be PCI DSS certified, because without validation, the moment your certification expires, you will not be PCI DSS compliant. Now, I had received a lot of questions from my customers saying if there is any guideline which is coming from PCI Council on two things. One is PCI Council allowing remote assessment, and the second one was if any of the payment brands or acquirers or the PCI councils themselves allowing any sort of extension on the existing certification. Now, the answer for the first question regarding the remote assessment, yes, PCI Council has released a guideline where they have categorically said that yes, go ahead, please do a remote assessment. There is nothing wrong in doing remote assessment as long as the PCI QSA ensures that the integrity of the assessment is intact and it provides same sort of assurance as compared to an on-site assessment. Regarding the extension of the certification deadlines or timelines, there have been no communication from payment brands. There have been no communication from any of the central or say regulatory bodies. So and of course PCI Council does not enforce PCI DSS compliance to organizations, so they do not ideally have any say on extending the timelines of certifications. So there have been no extension on the timelines of the certification, but yes, Council has gone ahead, taken a stand, and they have approved that yes, you can do the on-site, you can, instead of doing an on-site PCI QSA assessment, you can now do a remote PCI QSA assessment. So the moment remote PCI QSA assessment comes into picture, there are certain questions which automatically come in the scene. I mean, if you are an organization which is PCI compliant, and if somebody comes to you and says that I will do a remote PCI QSA assessment, these are some of the questions which you probably want to ask them. So, is that accepted? Yes. The direct answer to that question is yes, this is accepted. PCI Council, like I explained, has given a guideline. If the assessment is in line with these guidelines, it's absolutely accepted. There is no problem, and it will still result in the same certification which you get after a on-site QSA assessment. There is nothing different. You will still get the same sort of a certificate. Now, there is a understanding or say misunderstanding in the organization that people feel that the people when a PCI QSA is on site, he can test controls more effectively and kind of provide more assurance to their management and then obviously to their say acquirers or payment brands if they come on site and do the PCI QSA audit. But I mean, from a PCI QSA perspective, like someone like me, I would say even if I come on site or if I do a remote assessment, the level of testing would ideally be same. Now, how it will be same is, let's say I want to review requirement 1, which is related to firewall configuration for the PCI DSS scope. When I visit on-site, all I do is I sit with the network administrator, ask him to log into the firewall and show me whatever configuration I want to validate PCI DSS requirements. Now, this exact same thing can be replicated in a remote session. It's just that there will not be a face-to-face communication, but still I can get on a call with the network administrator, say on a Teams meeting like I'm doing just now, or on a Zoom session or on a Skype session, and I ask him then to share his screen and show me whatever configuration I want to see to validate any of the PCI DSS controls. So the level of testing, effectiveness and assurance, everything is exactly same like in an on-site assessment. It's just that it will not be a face-to-face communication. Of course, in many of the engagements which we have taken up, we have gone ahead and had a video meeting with the firewall administrators or stakeholders which are participating in PCI DSS compliance. But the moment video thing comes in, it kind of starts the debate on data privacy and all. So whenever we get a consent from the organization to use video sessions for conducting the remote PCI QSA assessments, we go ahead and do video sessions instead of just a normal Teams meeting. So if it's a video session, then it's kind of exact replica of an on-site assessment. It's a face-to-face discussion. Whatever you want to see, you see it on the screen, on the firewall console, or on that particular technology's console, and validate whatever controls are required. The last question is, okay, I can go ahead and have you conduct a PCI QSA remote assessment for my infrastructure, but what all support do you need from me? That's the question I face generally from the organization. The support I need from you is exactly the same support which I would have wanted if I come on site. So it's the same support. I need your people. So for example, I need your firewall administrator to be available for a meeting. I want your server administrators to be available for a meeting. I want your developers to be available for meetings, so on and so forth. So whosoever is responsible for managing any of the PCI DSS related controls, I want them to be available for a meeting or a discussion whenever it is required. Now, this does not mean that this will be a random session, that one fine day, 1 hour session with the network administrator, and then after 5 days there is another session on server administrator. No, it won't be that way. So there will be, let's say, a plan like you generally get in an on-site audit. You get a plan from the auditor stating on this day I want to meet these particular teams, and then you arrange for the respective representative of that particular team. Similarly, in the remote assessment, there will be a plan which will be shared to you in advance, saying on these particular 5 days your remote PCI QSA assessment would be conducted, and for these 5 days these are the team members which we need, or these are the teams which we need, and then you go back and identify your representatives and then come back to us saying, or come back to your PCI QSA saying we have identified the resources, and then we schedule those meetings to have a discussion on the controls which have been implemented, and then validate those controls accordingly in line with PCI DSS. So is it better from the on-site PCI QSA assessment? Yes, of course. It's better in a lot of sense. For example, when we do on-site PCI QSA assessment, you have a dependency on people who have already visited your organization. So if you have said, I want the QSA to be on-site, then only QSA obviously would travel. And if you want, I want to conduct VAPT of your servers or network devices, then a person who is skilled of VAPT will travel. But if we talk about remote assessment, then you get an access to all of the consultants or human resources of your security partner. So let's say if you reach out to network intelligence for remote assessment of your PCI DSS compliance, and you want to perform your periodic activities related to, say, VAs, penetration testing, application testing, etc. Now, if would have been an on-site assessment, as a security partner, you will probably send one person. But right now, since you have access to the entire pool of the resources, you can run all of these activities in parallel. So you can run VA, you can similarly run penetration testing and you can parallelly run the application testing. There can be 3 consultants or 3 resources doing the same activity at doing different activities at the same time. And this would then help you finishing off these activities pretty quickly. And that's where it requires you less time for validating the compliance or performing the maintenance activities. And of course, since people are not traveling, it then ends up saving you a lot of cost. So it is it kind of provides more benefits than compared to a on-site assessment. It's in both sense, you get accessibility to a lot of resources, of course for a larger period of time, and you also save on the cost as well. So these are some of the benefits which you get from a PCI QSA remote assessment. So this approach is specific to what Network Intelligence follows. I am not sure what other QSA companies are following, but this is our approach. This is how we go ahead and do remote PCI QSA assessment. So our assessment starts with an online meeting with all the key stakeholders, and these key stakeholders start right from your management representatives who are dealing with PCI DSS compliance, your teams, say IT team, InfoSec team, compliance team, database team, developer, etc. Whosoever is going to be participating in that particular PCI DSS validation program, we set up an online meeting. We explain everybody as to how this entire engagement will be carried out. Then we revalidate the PCI DSS scope for the obvious reason which I stated in the first slide, that there can be a significant change in the PCI DSS scope since the entire organization has moved to a remote working style. So we revalidate whether your current PCI DSS scope is what is the right PCI DSS scope for you to go ahead. And if there has been any change, we then understand what kind of a change it is. Does it classify to be a significant change that you have to do another round of, say, VA, or you have to do another round of penetration testing, or you have to do another round of say ASV scan. If we get a confirmation that yes, the scope is finalized, then we start with conducting some interviews with the process owners to understand how the entire setup works, how the payment are being processed, how are you storing the card data, how are you transmitting the card data, what are your business functions which deal with card data, so on and so forth, and what are various departments which fall under this scope. And this then gives us an idea of how that entire ecosystem which you have set up actually functions. And then we go ahead and give you a consolidated list of evidence based on your infrastructure which you'll have to submit. Now these evidences are nothing but, say, screenshots, your policy documents, your reports of the review, your configuration related controls, etc., etc. So we give you a specific sheet which only caters to your own organization depending upon what all requirements are applicable to you, and then it will be your responsibility to then start collecting these evidences. And once you start collecting these evidences, you keep on sending these evidences to PCI QSA and our consultant, and we'll immediately review those evidences whatever been sent on one particular day and give you our feedback whether that particular evidence is compliant, non-compliant, if it is partially compliant, if it requires any minor changes in the configuration. It will be communicated immediately as and when the evidences are received. Once these evidence collection finishes up, what we do is to ensure that the integrity of the PCI QSA assessment is intact, and to ensure that whatever evidences have been shared are the actual configuration on the systems also, we then do the review of all the system components via screen sharing. So it can be a normal team meeting, can be a Zoom session or a Skype session, where we sit with the respective process owners, say a network administrator, server administrator, a database administrator, your application developer, etc. And we then ask them to share their screen and show us the configuration to ensure that whatever evidences have been submitted are also in line with the actual configurations on these system components. Once both of these, fifth and sixth step, is completed, then we start writing your report on compliance, and once the report on compliance is finalized, we prepare an attestation for you, and that attestation is then signed by the PCI QSS. So it's a 7-step straightforward approach which we take, completely based on collecting evidences and doing the remote sessions with the process owners. So, like I said, majority of the organizations have now moved to a new working style, remote working style of work from home or work from your station kind of setup. What I have done is I have documented some key security controls which you should consider in this current situation. You would see my security control tips start from security awareness. Generally, in any of the information security program, the organizations or the standards have a tendency to keep this as a last control. But now, like I explained, that the shift of the attackers have shifted from compromising the system to compromising employees. The priority of your control should also change, and that's the reason I have kept the security awareness training as the primary control for the organizations to consider, at least during the COVID-19 pandemic. So focus on providing continuous security awareness. Now these security awareness trainings can be done by sending emails, sending up reminders, setting up wallpapers, screensavers, doing a 30-minute session, etc. Then you should know your perimeter configuration, because suddenly your perimeter has now expanded because people have now moved out of your organization and they are using multiple networks to connect to your infrastructure. So you should now be very vigilant of what is happening at your perimeter, and you should know how your firewall is configured and whether it is configured with the right ACLs, right access control list, or you need to modify those. Harden all of your system components. The reason for this control is, like I said, for you to facilitate remote working in this situation, there must have been changes done on the configuration level of the servers, configuration of the network devices, etc. and etc. Now, these configurations, since everything was done in a quick manner, there are chances that you might have missed a configuration which ideally should go in a server. So it's better that you go back and relook all of your system components and see if they meet the basic hardening guidelines which have been set up by your own organization, or you can probably refer to, say, NIST or ISO or CIS information security or hardening standard practices. Encrypt all the sensitive data. Though it's a PCI DSS related webinar, I say encrypt all the sensitive data which you have. Of course, related to, since this is PCI DSS, encrypt all the card data. If you do not need the full card number for your business function, please go ahead and truncate. Truncation is better than encryption if you do not need the full card number to be stored in your environment. So encrypt all the sensitive data, and also take periodic backup. Just by encrypting the data probably will not solve your problem. Please take periodic backup. Now this period can be defined based on the criticality of the data which you handle in your organization. Use encrypted communication channel. Majority of the home network are insecure. So the wireless networks which your employees are using to connect to your environment are apparently insecure. Their routers are misconfigured badly, and for you to control or for you to secure the communication, the responsibility then shifts to your own initiative. So please go ahead and use encrypted communication channel, deploy VPN, and deploy VPN with right configuration is also very important. There are organizations which have deployed VPN, but the configuration of the VPN is still using insecure algorithms in the channel. It's then makes no sense of using a VPN if it is not properly configured. So use encrypted communication and properly configure it. Multi-factor authentication right now is a must. You should enable multi-factor authentication on the employees' user ID, which means whatever server they are trying to access, they need to probably have a multi-factor authentication before they actually get access to that particular server. Similarly, go ahead and enforce multi-factor authentication on emails of your employees, so that for them to read any of the emails, they'll have to probably first enter a second factor, and only then they will be able to see their emails or access any of the servers. Keep all the systems up to date. There is no rocket science in knowing that patching is a must. So keep a look at the vulnerabilities which may have been identified during this period. And whenever there is a vulnerability, if you get a patch from the vendor, please go ahead and immediately install it if it affects your environment. All the employee laptops or devices which have been used to connect, to your network, please ensure that these devices have basic security hygiene followed, like they should have an anti-malware solution. If possible, please go ahead and deploy personal firewall solutions and configure those firewalls to only limit certain sort of access on your perimeter. Then role-based user access control and strong password policy has been a prominent security controls for years now. Now since people have moved to remote, please go ahead and implement a strong password policy and monitor everybody's access. Ensure that they only get to access whatever their job requires them to have. Any unwanted email traffic, if you can restrict it, please go ahead and restrict that unwanted email traffic to come into your network. Now that's ideally the case for you to stop at least the phishing attacks, if those phishing attacks are being originated by shooting mass emailers to your employees. So know what email traffic needs to come into your perimeter and probably avoid or drop other unwanted email traffic. Monitoring, of course, you'll have to then be more proactive, monitor 24/7 and monitor proactively. So if you see there has been cases, if you see some sort of a behavioral change in how your systems have been responding in recent times, please go ahead and proactively monitor those and have an incident response plan ready so that you can apparently respond if you identify any exceptions or anomalies in your infrastructure. Periodic vulnerability assessment and penetration testing is must. Though PCI Council or PCI standard say that quarterly VA is mandatory, I had gone ahead and suggested my customers to do these activities not quarterly but every month. So now there are customers which have undergone PCI DSS certification and they have now started doing periodic at least vulnerability scans once in a year and the penetration testing once every 6 months. So these are some of the controls which you can consider at least for now to probably strengthen more of your security which you have implemented in the infrastructure. So yeah, that's it. That's pretty much we had for this webinar. I hope it covers the points which you expected for us to cover. If there are any questions, we are now open to take questions. You can shoot your questions. Thank you.
Rahul, would it be possible to open up the chat window for everyone to place their questions if they are unable to make it over a voice? Will it be possible to open up the chat window for all to share their questions?
Khalil bhai, the chat window is open for everyone already, and yes. Also there is a form which Rahul has sent on chat. I would request all of the participants to please fill up that form, and so that we can share this presentation with you and share any more details if you require for further follow-ups.
Thank you very much, Nikhil. Are there any questions on the floor from anyone?
I think on the voice it's also open. So if somebody wants to speak, we can do that.
কারো কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন থাকলে আপনারা করতে পারেন। We are here to respond.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry, I am Muntasir. You are the network intelligence company. You are doing the PCI DSS certification for the banks.
Muntasir, is your question that are we doing PCI DSS certification for banks?
Yeah.
We do conduct PCI DSS validation and certification for banks. We have in fact presence in Dhaka as well. There have been customers which we have certified in Bangladesh as well, and there are other banks in India, in US and Asia Pacific which we have certified on PCI DSS compliance.
Any other banks in Bangladesh that those are certified through your company, Network Intelligence? Any banks are there in Bangladesh?
There are banks in Bangladesh, but I would leave that to Prabir sir if whether we are allowed to answer that in this portal. Prabir sir, are you on the call? Hello?
Hello.
Hey Sam.
Hi, Nikhil.
Muntasir, what we'll do is I'll drop you an email with the reference of the banks which you have certified in Bangladesh.
Hello, Nikhil.
Yeah, Prabir sir.
No, I am Nahid.
Nahid.
Hi Nahid.
I'm telling the Muntasir bhai. Yes, in Bangladesh we have a bank that we did the PCI compliance recertification on last year.
Okay. Which
As
bank?
you know, only 4 to 5 or maximum 5 banks are certified in Bangladesh till now, PCI DSS compliant, and one of them banks we did recertification conduct.
Okay. In Bangladesh, for what is the local partner for network intelligence to comply the PCI DSS compliance?
Yes, we Dhaka distribution is the only local partner for network intelligence in Bangladesh.
Okay. So Dhaka distribution is helping to comply the PCI DSS compliance
Exactly.
and through network intelligence.
Yes.
Okay.
And you'll be happy to know that network intelligence more than 6 people, those who are PCI QSA certified, who can run parallelly in multiple organization to PCI validation.
Okay.
So any more question?
Sure, team. Nahid bhai, this is Sam here. So for now, I think we are good, and we have shared a link in the chat box. People who have questions or who wants to get this particular presentation, please feel free to fill that details there, like couple of details, or if they have any questions, you guys can go ahead and fill that. We'll get back to you with the details and the material and stuff.
Yeah, I think to support Sam on this, অনেকে অনেক কোয়েরি থাকতে পারে। সো আমাদের যে ফর্মটা আসলে শেয়ার করা হয়েছে চ্যাট উইন্ডোতে, ওই ফর্মটাতে আসলে বেসিক্যালি আপনাদের কিছু কন্ট্যাক্ট ইনফরমেশন ডিটেলস, আপনাদের অর্গানাইজেশন নেম এবং কোয়েশ্চেনের জন্য একটা সেকশন দেয়া আছে। সো কেউ যদি 1-to-1 কোয়েশ্চেনের কোনো রেসপন্স জানতে চান, সে ফর্মটা ফিল আপ করে দিলে we will respond back to you with an email responding to all your questions. So কারো যদি কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন থাকে after the session we can respond to that accordingly.
আমার এখানে চ্যাট বক্সটা ওপেন হচ্ছে না আর কি।
Actually, I didn't get the chat box. Please share the chat box.
Rahul, can you please guide everyone to the chat box?
Hi Khalil, I have posted a couple of times. So once you open the chat box, it will take a minute to update. So if you keep it open, it will quickly update and it will reflect that link in the chat box. I'll just paste it again and I'll send it as important. So I've just shared the link again.
Actually, we are not getting we are not able to open the chat box.
Not able to open the chat box actually.
I think Rahul, it says that only team members can chat as the team member to make a member. I think everyone needs to be made a member.
I'm getting responses in the form, so I'm sure some of them are able to open the chat box.
I think everyone who's come in later, maybe they are not being able to access the chat box. Can you please check on that?
Yeah, 1 second.
I think everyone from the list of 62 needs to be made member of the team.
Yeah, make me a member.
Yes.
Only team members can see.
Okay, sir, we're working on that. We will be giving you access shortly.
Can we try now? I have opened the private window now. So let me just.
Still, I didn't get the chat box.
Same here.
Okay, it's saying only team members can chat. So you may make all the members, then we can access the chat box, I guess.
Maybe guest member cannot chat in the chat box. Only team member are chat.
Yes. So you have to make us all the team members, then we can access the chat box, I guess.
Sir, আমরা যেটা করব after the session আমরা সবাইকে একটা ইমেল করব with the link. So যারা আসলে অ্যাক্সেস করতে পারছেন না চ্যাট উইন্ডোটা, আমরা সবাইকে একটা মেল করে দিব to access to reply to that link. তো আমরা সবাইকে মেলটা আবার লিংকটা আবার মেল করে দিব।
ওকে
তো যাতে করে আপনারা সবাই আর কি ওই লিংকে ঢুকে আপনারা ফিল আপ করে দিতে পারেন ফর্মটা। আমরা সবাইকে মেল করে দেব একটু পরে after the session.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Hello.
So I think that ends our session. So thank you all for joining. We will be sending you all of you the link to the chat to the page and the form after this session so that you can reply back to us. Thank you all for coming today despite your very tight schedule.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Please do stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody.
Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Khalil.
Thank you so much.
তারপরে